Early childhood is a period of astonishing neurological and metabolic development when the foundations of eating behavior, taste preferences, and self-regulation are established. What happens during these early years can shape habits for the rest of a person's life. New research is raising strong alarms that exposure to processed and ultra-processed foods during this critical window of development may lock children into unhealthy eating trajectories that are extremely difficult to change later. The findings suggest that early diets high in processed foods, such as sugary cereals, snack puffs, sweetened yogurts, packaged pastries, and flavored drinks, can alter both the brain's reward circuits and metabolic responses in ways that reinforce lifelong cravings for the same types of foods. During the first 5 years of life, the brain is rapidly forming neural pathways that shape preference, reward sensitivity, and emotional coping behaviors. This is also the time when children learn to interpret hunger and fullness cues and establish patterns that will guide how they relate to food. If processed foods become the dominant source of nutrition during this developmental phase, researchers warn that the brain may learn to prioritize the artificially intense flavors engineered into these products: salt, sugar, refined fats, and additives designed to maximize palatability. Over time, natural foods like fruits, vegetables, and simple grains may seem bland or unappealing by comparison, making healthy eating feel like punishment rather than pleasure. The danger is not limited to taste preference. Exposure to processed foods early in life appears to reprogram the hormonal and metabolic systems that regulate appetite and weight. Some studies show that infants and toddlers fed diets high in added sugars and refined carbohydrates experience exaggerated insulin responses, frequent blood sugar fluctuations, and dampen satiety hormones such as leptin and GLP-1. This can train the body to expect constant eating and lead to difficulty recognizing when to stop, laying a foundation for overeating, emotional eating, and obesity later in life. Researchers emphasize that once these systems adapt to a diet built around processed foods, reversing the effects becomes increasingly challenging with age. The consequences can stretch far beyond diet. Children who rely heavily on processed foods have higher rates of sleep disturbances, attention problems, and mood instability. Scientists are exploring how food additives, artificial colors, preservatives, and emulsifiers may disrupt gut microbiota, which in turn influence brain development, immune function, and emotional regulation. The developing gut-brain axis appears particularly sensitive during early childhood, meaning damage done during this phase could have lifelong consequences. A growing body of evidence suggests strong connections between early ultra-processed food consumption and increased risk of metabolic syndrome, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and early puberty. One of the most troubling aspects is that children have almost no control over what they are given. Food choices are often shaped by convenience, aggressive marketing, and socioeconomic limitations. Ultra-processed foods are marketed directly to children through cartoon characters, games, and strategic placement at eye level on store shelves. Families facing financial pressure often rely on cheaper processed options, unaware that the long-term health costs may be severe. The food industry spends billions engineering products to maximize bliss point satisfaction and to keep children coming back, effectively training young brains before they have developed the capacity to understand manipulation. Researchers stress that there is a narrow window in which interventions can be most effective. If children become accustomed to whole, minimally processed foods early in life, they are more likely to maintain healthy eating patterns into adulthood. But if that window is missed, changing behavior later becomes far harder because the neural and metabolic systems have already reorganized around highly processed stimulation. Adults often blame themselves for lacking willpower, when the reality is that their biology was shaped years before they could make independent choices. The warnings are clear and urgent. Early dietary exposure is not a neutral influence, but a powerful determinant of lifelong health, taste preference, and emotional relationship with food. Without stronger guidance for parents, stricter marketing regulations, and broader access to affordable whole foods, society risks raising generations predisposed to chronic illness and compulsive eating patterns engineered by profit-driven food science. The cost of convenience during childhood may be a lifetime of struggling to undo what was programmed before memory even formed.